So they say that if you look down and your belly hangs out and you can't see your feet, that you could be suffering from either prediabetes, type 2 diabetes, or even insulin resistance. I want to offer you 9 simple steps to help prevent prediabetes and or reverse type 2 diabetes, including a reversal plan for insulin resistance. Nearly 85 million people have been said to be in a pre-diabetic state, okay? And so I want to help you understand what are the signs and symptoms that would get you to that state, or so that you can catch it before you get into a state of type 2 diabetes. Then it's more difficult to go through and reverse it, right? So I want to help you understand that, and we're going to dig into a little bit about what insulin resistance even is and how you can go ahead and get rid of type 2 diabetes or not even allow it to happen in the first place. I am an integrative medicine practitioner and naturopath, and if you're new to this channel, I'm excited to offer you a holistic approach to help you prevent reaching that state and tips for helping reverse it if you've been self-diagnosed or diagnosed by a physician with type 2 diabetes. So I hope you'll find this deep dive interesting, but most importantly, simple and to-do steps that you can absolutely implement in your life. So here we go. So first of all, insulin resistance as a little bit of a sidebar here, okay? So in a perfect world, you eat food, it will synthesize into glucose, and then that glucose will trigger for your pancreas to release insulin, and insulin to then drive it into the muscle, the tissue, the fat cells, okay? And then at a given point, once it's all the way been stored, then it'll trigger your pancreas to stop releasing insulin. That is a perfect scenario of how your pancreas and the whole insulin process works for you, okay? When you reach a state of insulin resistance, it means that it can no longer drive that glucose into the cell appropriately, and you just end up with free-flowing insulin in the body, okay? The liver is said to store up to 100 grams of glycogen or glucose storage in the body, and then your body, for an average person, could store anywhere between 300 to 400 grams of glucose in your fat tissues, muscles, and things like that, before it starts accumulating and expanding the fat cell tissues in your body, okay? And that leads to excessive fat gain, which then could lead to buildup of toxin storage, and several other symptoms, okay? So with that said, I'm going to provide an opportunity to an insulin resistance reversal protocol at the end of this, and I'll call out through the training where you can actually access a HOMA insulin resistant test to see if you have not only glucose, blood sugar problems, but if you are in a state of insulin resistance. Okay, so how can you detect early warning signs of type 2 diabetes? Well, let's cover them, okay? So increased thirst or hunger, frequent urination, fatigue, blurred vision, unexplained weight loss or gain, darkness of the skin, high blood pressure, and that's either upon wakening or throughout the day, okay? Family history, so there could be DNA, and you inherit your DNA from your family. Maybe you have family in the past that has susceptibility to, having diabetes, type 2 diabetes, things like that. But I want to offer you some encouragement here that through the world of learning about DNA and epigenetics, it's really more about the expression of the gene, which happens above your DNA, okay? And so certain lifestyle factors, especially if known, will help you not get to that state where maybe you are at increased risk for blood sugar problems, okay? The last one I want to mention is age and weight, which would be your BMI. And if you've never done a BMI, there's a simple calculator out there that you can do. Really just type in BMI into Google and it'll pop up a simple calculator. You put in your age and your weight and your height and it'll calculate where your BMI is at, okay? So it'll give you an indication there. But here are some non-common symptoms, okay? Insulin resistance, we talked about that. Brain fog, cravings, tired after meals, never feeling satisfied, numbness or tingling of the legs and the feet, oftentimes tagged to prediabetes, and we'll talk about blood markers that indicate that. Usually, people that have blood markers that indicate prediabetes are oftentimes feeling these tingling sensations in the legs and the feet, okay? And then accumulation of fat around the midsection. So before we dig into any action steps that you can take around this to figure out, well, what do I do to actually not get in this state? Or if you've recognized that you are in the state and you want to get past that, let's talk about a few biomarkers, okay? So you've probably heard of a fasting blood sugar test that you can get done with your physician. And so what you're really shooting for is a fasting blood sugar level between 100 and 125 is often indicated of prediabetes if it's in that range or higher, okay? So you don't want to reach that state. You can get a hemoglobin A1C test done. And within that, you're shooting for below 5.7 to 6.4. If you are in 5.7 to 6.4, that is pre-diabetic state. If you are above 6.4, like the 6.5% higher or higher, then you're actually likely indicating diabetes or type 2 diabetes, okay? Here are a few other tests that you can consider. And inside this free guide that I'm going to provide at the bottom of this training, you can access all of these indicated tests. See if you can run them with your physician. If you've ran them with your physician, hopefully this helps you interpret it a little bit better, especially if you've not had that educational session with your practitioner or physician. But you could consider an oral glucose tolerance test, a random blood sugar test, insulin level test, and I mentioned that could be the HOMA-IR test. You could do a C-peptide test even, and then cholesterol levels, which are indicators as well. And then, of course, tests you can do just right at home, right? Your blood pressure could be a sign. So if you are seeing some of the signs and symptoms of fatigue, maybe you're overweight, excessive fat around the midsection and things like that, and you have high blood pressure, those could be signs of a pre-diabetic state, okay? So with all of that said, what does a life with pre-diabetic state or type 2 diabetes look like versus the life that you deserve to live, which is without type 2 diabetes or even living in a pre-diabetic state, okay? So here's what it looks like to live with it and why you might actually care, okay? If you are living with type 2 diabetes, you could be experiencing increased risk for cardiovascular disease, okay? That's heart attacks and strokes, coronary artery disease. You could be seeing neuropathy, right? The tingling and the numbness, or the pain in some of the extremities of your hands and your feet. It could even impact digestion or even sexual function, which would not be great either, right? So kidney damage is often correlated to type 2 diabetes or pre-diabetic. Eye problems, vision impairment, blurred vision, blindness, nerve damage, so poor circulation. If you're noticing that you have circulation of your blood in certain areas of the body, that could be an indication, okay? Skin conditions. If you're starting to see things show up on the skins, that could be related to bacterial or fungal infections, okay? Altered immune function. So you could have a damaged or poor immune system. That could also be there, okay? Hearing impairment, so not being able to hear like you believe you should. Alzheimer's disease. And so there's a lot of studies out there leading to how being in a pre-diabetic or type 2 diabetes increases the risk of Alzheimer's and other forms of dementia, okay? Delayed emptying and digestive problems, and then emotional stress and risks of depression, okay? And that could all be signs of, if you're, just imagine, like you wake up every day and you're fatigued, you don't feel like doing anything. Maybe you don't like the way you look because of, the weight gain that you have. Maybe you have, a poor relationship to food and you're trying to manage that. Like all of these start to play in with your emotions and start to drive your day. Then that kind of takes away your mindset. It gets you away from, the positive feelings of, mastering your day and hanging out with your family and your friends and doing amazing things to drive your purpose and everything, right? And so it can absolutely increase problems with your emotional stress and your mental capabilities, okay? So with all that said, what you really care about is what does a life look like not in this state? And so when I work with clients, like I help them just imagine like building their personalized wellness suit. And we're going to talk about that in a minute. But basically, I want you to imagine a life without feeling like that, because you deserve that, right? I'm sure that maybe when you were born or you woke up, like, this is not the state that you imagined that you'd be living in as you grew up, right? And personally, I'll just share with you, like, I was the person that ate fast food every day. I ate cereal sometimes for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, even into college and even into early adulthood, okay? And it wasn't until I finally put intention into my health and intention into why. Why do I want to live on this earth and actually be in good health, right? I want to show up for my kids. I want to show by demonstration. I want to eat well, exercise, and do things that support health so that my kids can observe that and do that too, right? I want to be there as a older dad out there playing with them in the yard, playing football, watching my daughter in gymnastics, anything. Like, I want to be a part of that, okay? So set the intention. Imagine what that looks like for whatever state of life that you're in. Just imagine what that state is. And so, what does that look and feel like? Well, energetic and alert, right? You wake up just ready to fire out of bed. I mean, I've seen clients that go from this pre-diabetic to type 2 diabetic state, and they do something like a functional medicine detox. They get on a lifestyle plan, they build their wellness suit, and they fire out of bed. Like, they're so excited. They're texting me and they're like, I've never had this much energy. My alarm goes off, or I wake up at 5 a.m. and I can't wait to tackle my day. I mean, that probably is you too, right? That should be you. You want to be that person. So what else? Stable mood, positive and well-balanced state, normal thirst and hunger. Like, you're not constantly craving for certain foods and stuff all day long where you need to feed your body. Like, you're on a good nutrition meal plan. Not excessive urination. That doesn't mean just during the day, but what about at night, right? If you're waking up in the middle of the night a lot to frequently urinate, that's keeping you from getting good sleep. Healthy weight maintenance. Like, you're going around and you're not carrying around excess weight, but you feel great about whatever weight is ideal for you, okay? You're not having signs and symptoms of numbness or pain. Your extremities are perfect. Your circulation, blood flow is great. Your eye health is amazing, right? Your kidney function is in great shape. And then you don't also have any other complications like pain in the joints and things like that. So that's exactly where you should be and you deserve to be, okay? So let's talk about how you can get to that state if you're not in that state today. Otherwise, if you are excellent, you could still take a couple takeaways from here as you get older and think about how you can live an even better lifestyle, okay? So here are 9 simple tips. Healthy eating and balanced nutrition, focusing on primarily whole foods, whole food carbs, proteins, healthy fats, right? And what I often like to say is doesn't mean like you cannot enjoy foods. Like, if you enjoy sugar foods or processed foods once in a while, that's totally fine. Like, I'm sure you've heard of the 80-20 rule, right? Even if you try to focus on that, 80% of whole foods and 20% of cheat meals within a week. Excellent, right? Especially if you're not even close to that place today. Just imagine that, okay? One step at a time. Regular exercise activity, shooting for at least walking 7,000 to 10,000 steps a day, maybe even some strength training, some aerobic training, maybe even isometric training, right? Which is like holding a position or a resistance position for a long period of time. That could be wall sits. It could be pushing on the wall and holding that. It could be planks, okay? And then also doing things with a little bit of weights for that muscle mass and that muscle strengthening, okay? Making sure that you're keeping yourself strong. Optimal sleep, 7 to 9 hours for adults, 2 hours of REM at least, and 1.5 hours of deep REM for mind rejuvenation and deep for body rejuvenation. Hydration, not just drinking a ton of water within a given day. Of course that matters, but how about drinking enough water, let's say half your body weight in water, with electrolytes, because your body runs on that, which is minerals, okay? So make sure that you're getting potassium and magnesium and calcium and sodium in there with your water too. You could consider electrolyte powder, or just keep it simple. Sea salt, Celtic salt, pinch of that with a squeeze of lemon, okay? It could be that simple. Hydration. Manage your stress levels. What are you doing to downshift within your day? Are you reading, journaling, doing yoga, breathing, doing functional breathing practices, making sure that you're breathing through your nose and not your mouth? Toxin removal. How are you supporting the liver? Are you doing things like a functional medicine detox? Or are you doing saunas or dry brushing, anything to move your lymphatic system, okay? Maybe you're doing kidney cleanses or gallbladder cleanses, okay? Mental and emotional balancing. How are you raising your vibrations and keeping that mindfulness, okay? How are you waking up every day? Are you setting the tone for your day? Are you saying to yourself, I know I'm already going to live in good health. I have everything I need. I'm grateful. Practicing gratitude. Raising your vibration means that you are in a state of wholeness, right? You wake up and you feel alive. You're not feeling like you're missing a lot of things, or you're feeling like you're living a life of scarcity, okay? Because there is abundance out there. So how do you raise your vibration? Focusing on that. Eliminating, avoiding things like alcohol, ultra-processed food, smoking, excessive amounts of sugar. I mean, I think the average is like 1 teaspoon of sugar per 1.5 gallons per day is enough to be balanced for a particular body. But sometimes people are having, and I don't want to misquote this, but this is crazy. What is it? The average American consumes 31 teaspoons of sugar. That's 140 pounds of sugar per year. Isn't that crazy? I mean, just think about that. So how could you limit or minimize that, okay? Supplementation when needed. I believe supplementation can be a key factor in helping you rebalance the body where you see imbalances, or even if you are in a state of autoimmune issues where you need to reverse something and get back to a state of homeostasis, okay? And so using supplementation, herbs, vitamins, minerals, and things like that to get you back to where you need to be. Again, with all of that said, one excellent thing I want to notate here is in the free guide that you can access below, it talks a lot about a wellness suit, which we help our clients do, which is foundational pillars of diet, exercise, stress, toxins, recovery, which is balancing your yin and your yang, right? Where's your sympathetic nervous system and your parasympathetic nervous system? Are they balanced, or are you running on high cortisol all day long, okay? Emotions, right? We talked about emotional strength, sleep, and then supplements when needed, okay? And if you're interested in what that looks like to build out your personalized, customized wellness suit, please reach out, access the guide below to get started. And then I want to invite you to also all the other resources that are available here, okay? There's a de-stress guide to help you think about implementing lifestyle choices on your own, right? If you want to master that. There's a reverse chronic stress guide in there. If you are in a state of high stress and you just want to dig yourself back out. Functional medicine labs, not just the insulin resistance lab, but what is the world of labs that you can get at your own home, and then send in the results and then work with a practitioner like me to dissect those results and build a precise plan. There's a Wellness Mavericks community that we've built to support you, and then your personalized wellness suit. So I want to invite you to check those out. So thanks for joining this training on learning if you might be in a pre-diabetic state, or if you're in type 2 diabetes. I hope this was helpful, and I hope to see you next time.